Hello and welcome to Shought Thorts, the bite-sized interview show where I ask your favorite people in the gaming industry a bunch of somewhat silly questions. My name's DC Bradshaw, and my guest today is Devora Wilde. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. What a good time. I'm excited.
All right, let's dive in then. Question one. For those who don't know you, could you please describe the creative thing or things you do, but only using words of one syllable?
Okay, this is really hard, by the way. This is really hard. I act in things.
That works. That works. We've had people struggle with like TV and television or movies and stuff like
Mm.
things is brilliant catch-all.
Things encompasses all manner of things. And, we could also, yeah, no, it's fine.
I act in things. There we go.
I act in things.
Everything is easier from here on out, I promise. If you were a pirate captain, what would be the name of your ship?
Oh, now I think we all know what the answer to this is going to be, but it's got to be the Jolly Ranch. It's got to be. I'm imagining sort of like a black flag with like a white ranch bottle, something like that.
So would you be stealing ranch from other people's ships, or is it just the ship is ranch bottle shaped, or both?
Oh gosh, I haven't thought this all the way through. In an ideal world, instead of pirate hats, we'd have like ranch shaped hats. Because I think they're kind of like a pirate hat shape, sort of, right?
Yeah.
Also, I mean, this is such a Grace question. For people that maybe don't watch our streams, Grace, aka the Dread Waffle, is my co-streaming partner and is obsessed with pirate things.
Yes.
So, but do you know what? I'm going to take the initiative on this and say that Grace will also approve of the Jolly Ranch. I reckon the ship could also be ranch bottle shaped. And I also think that looting ranch from other people's ships could be quite a worthwhile activity.
Sounds good. Question three. What's your favorite mindless fun popcorn movie?
Oh, it's got to be anything like late 90s, early 2000s. I'm thinking Mean Girls, 10 Things I Hate About You,
Mm.
Legally Blonde, like anything from that kind of era, I love. Also, like if we're getting like around Christmas, Love Actually, a
Hmm.
little bit of that,
Yep.
The Holiday, just something like easy breezy. What's yours actually?
It really does depend on my mood. I do like going to like Jurassic Park and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I can't guarantee it was the first thing I ever saw in the cinema, but it was certainly an early thing I saw in the cinema, certainly. So
Right,
that's
yeah.
always fun.
That is good. You know what? I'd almost, because I've just seen the poster behind you, I'd also almost say The Lord of the Rings, but like that's quite a commitment. You've got to really sit down.
That's true.
You've got to decide which one you're going to watch, and you've got to really like be in the mood for like a long film. But that is something that I could watch time and time again and just not get bored.
If you could have a miniature version of a mythological or fantasy creature as a pet, what would it be?
Okay, I'm going to say a dragon. Now, I know people are going to be like, "Oh, that's so Lae'zel."
Mhm.
But hear me out, right? There's reasoning behind it because like my instinct was to go with a unicorn, but then I was like, what am I going to do with a miniature unicorn realistically? Can't really ride it anywhere. It's great to have like as a little fun pet, but it doesn't really have much use. So, dragon, right?
Yeah.
Has a little bit of fire. So it can light your candles.
Hmm.
Maybe it can act as like a candle if the electricity ever went out. And if you have a gas oven, it can light that too.
That's true. Well, so no more little clicky clicky thing. It's
No more
just
clicky
like
clicky. Exactly, no more.
just little fire, please. There we go.
You just got your little dragon. Cute and functional.
What's your favorite swear word or phrase that's not actually swearing?
Oh, this is easy. Skvar. Because nobody knows what it means unless you play Baldur's Gate. Well, it technically is, I suppose, a swear word, but it's in Githyanki and nobody knows. As a parent of a young child that's learning to talk, I feel like it might be coming the time to start using code words like fudge and ah
Yes.
and sugar lumps and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's very much what in our house. We have two cats as well. So it is the reacting to the cats doing whatever act of menace they are doing, but not swearing.
Yes.
That's difficult at times.
Yes, I'm in a similar situation, two cats and a toddler, and it's chaos.
First one we've had it in a fantasy language. There you go. A first. Well done.
There we go. Perfect. Yeah.
There should be a little achievement unlocked or something like that.
Oh, absolutely. Give me a trophy.
Okay, question six. If you had to sing a Disney song at karaoke, what would you choose?
Mm. Now this is also tricky because there's so many good ones. I would pick, I don't actually know what the name of the song is called, but the one from The Lion King, it is just called Oh, I Just Can't Wait to Be King, right?
Yeah, I think
I
it
think
is that maybe slightly fewer words. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's that. Yeah.
something like that. I think that's a real bop, that is. Obviously you'd want it to be with somebody else. My initial instinct was like, oh, Aladdin, like a whole new world. But then I was like, that's no, we want to be different. We want to think outside the box. And we want something sort of, that everyone can join in on.
Yeah.
But that's good. That's such a good idea. Disney themed karaoke.
There probably are bars out there. I mean, down in London, there's
Yes.
got to be bars that do exactly that.
I would imagine. Or do you know what would be a real banger? Oh God, the Genie song.
That's just slipped from my mind. What is it? What, a Friend Like Me?
That's the one.
Yes.
Da, da, da,
Yes.
da, da. That would be a good
Hmm.
one.
Yeah.
That would be a good one. Oh, I love that. Talking of like mindless popcorn movies, you're really making me have like a craving for like old school Disney now.
Maybe it's an age thing. The number of times Aladdin and Lion King come up as go-tos. Yeah.
Yes. I think they're probably my favorites, to be honest, because I grew up on that old school kind of Disney movies. The Lion King and like Snow White and Aladdin are just so good. Like, just so good. So good.
Hmm.
Such good tunes. Old school Disney all the way.
If you could have a magical item to make your day-to-day life just a little bit easier, what would it be?
A ring of teleportation would be incredible. The amount of time you would save, especially because I travel a lot,
Mm.
so good. And then, like, if you need to just like pop back home for a little bit and then pop back to the place where you needed to be, easy. I'd love that. I think a scroll of flying, if you will.
Mm.
Oh, see what I did there? D&D themed.
Very nice.
A scroll of flying would be quite fun. Skip the morning traffic,
That's true.
get to your destination quicker, and enjoy the view from above.
Yeah, absolutely. Having seen your convention schedule, I can imagine both of those would be very useful.
Very, very useful indeed. Yes.
I don't know how you're keeping it going.
I don't know. I think I'm going to look back on this time in my life and be like, how was that a thing? You know?
Do you know what time zone you're in at all at any time nowadays?
I mean, rarely, rarely. It's not the worst thing in the world. I think I've gotten very used to kind of dealing with time zones now and just, taking a melatonin if I have to go to sleep and trying to get myself to sleep at the right time.
Yeah.
Because before I was just like, jet lag, I don't know how to deal with that. And now I think I'm pretty good at it. Coming back is bad. I think if you're going like east to west, I think it's not so bad, but coming back west to east is not good. So traveling to America is fine, and then traveling back to the UK is not fine. But you know what? It's okay.
Question 8. What's a book that you think everyone should read?
One of my favorite books of all times, I'm sure a lot of people have read this already, but I have to say The Kite Runner, because it's just a classic. It's very beautiful. And it's very beautiful and it's very brutal, but I just remember reading that and just like being blown away, really. And then the sequel, I believe, prequel or sequel, I think it is the sequel. And unfortunately, I don't remember what it's called, is also very, very good. I want to say The Mountains something. Oh, should we look this up? Should I Google it?
Yeah. Well,
Maybe we should Google it.
And The Mountains Echoed is another one.
And The Mountains Echoed.
And there's A Thousand Splendid Suns, looks to be.
Yes.
I don't know if they're certainly all the same author. I don't know if they're in the same sort of narrative.
Yes, I also genuinely can't remember whether they're all in the same narrative, but I just love it. I think The Kite Runner is a classic. And I'm sure most people have read it already, but it's just one of those, I think modern day classic books that people will maybe look back on in many years as this generation's Jane Eyre or any Dickens book, that we consider now a classic. I think that's what The Kite Runner will eventually be.
I had it recommended by a couple of people, outside of this, but you're the second person to mention this on this show. So I think my Christmas list, it's basically all the books people have referenced on this. So that's going top of the list then as something that's got 2 votes. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah. And once you start, you won't be able to stop. You'll be able to read it like, well, it depends how quickly you read, but you'll be able to read it in a few days, especially if you're just like, you won't be able to stop.
That is wonderful when you pick up a book that you just can't put down.
No.
It's a rarity, I think. Maybe attention spans nowadays, but it is wonderful. Just devour a book.
And also, like, in many ways, I think it's better than binge watching a show. Like you feel that that sense of excitement is just more like intense
Mhm.
rather than the show. I don't know. Do you agree?
I think so, especially because assuming, and not everyone does, assuming that you can visualize what's in the story, you kind of, the more you read it in one session, the deeper and deeper you go into it. And then actually
Hmm.
it's very difficult to come out. Whereas with shows, especially with phones and everything like that, I think it's quite easy to get pulled out of a show temporarily. But if you get really stuck into a book, yeah, that's a nice experience.
Yeah.
Okay, nearly there. What's the creative thing you've made or done that you're most proud of?
Honestly, I don't know if there's just one thing. I think for me, when I look back really on my career, if you want to call it that, over the last 10 years, I think I'm most proud of the fact that I just stayed in it
Hmm.
because there was lots of times I wanted to give up, lots of sort of hurdles and hardships. And I honestly think that that's really the thing that I'm most proud of, that I didn't give up. And I still, there's just days where I'm just like, and I think that's normal. I'm proud of every single project I've done and every single project I've been in. But really, the thing I'm most proud of is just sticking with it. And I think I've gotten through hopefully, I've gotten through like the worst of it and all of that stuff. But all the rejection and all the feeling like you're not going anywhere and sort of you treading water most of the time, like in the sense of you don't see any progression, but also you don't think there's any point of you going backwards. It's all those sort of things and all those feelings and all those kind of moments that I just stuck through those. So yeah, I think that would be the one, really, just the perseverance of it.
It is such an unusual profession, objectively, because almost any other job to a degree, there is an obvious starting point. So then you build up and you maybe get promoted or sideways move or whatever it is. But there is some sort of path that other people have taken that you can kind of copy.
So
Oh, I want to be a this, I'll start here and maybe I'll go in a few different directions. But broadly speaking, I'm going to do this. But there isn't that for acting
no.
in any way, shape, or form. Anytime I've ever heard any actor on an interview talk about how they got into acting, everyone basically gives the same answer in that, things happened the way they happened and they ended up there and they're glad they did. So I can't imagine what it would be like to be faced with that, do I keep going? Do I not?
Yeah, and also like you're so right. It's like you don't really have anyone that you can compare to in terms of a path that you can copy. But at the same time, all the actors that you do have are so much in the public eye
Mm,
that if you are an actor yourself, regardless of whether you're in the public eye or not, those are the people who you are kind of observing, I suppose.
yeah.
Now, obviously, that observation is not necessarily accurate because what's written in the press isn't necessarily true or accurate or reflective of the reality of the situation, even if it is true. But that's a real disconnect because, yeah, anyone in a different job might have those people to look up to, but those people aren't constantly being like written about, scrutinized in the public eye, and then that warps your perception as well.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's highly unusual. And every single actor actually has a very different pathway to get to whatever they want to be doing. We've got to take the wins when we can take them and just appreciate that. And this goes for anyone, really. You just got to sort of pat yourself on the back, even when the small wins and the big wins. And that's how you get through the difficult times.
Absolutely. Right, let's end on something somewhat foolish. Finally, could you please tell us your favourite inoffensive, groan-worthy dad joke?
Oh, okay, you're going to love this. This is my favorite recent D&D themed.
Very nice.
Yes, D&D themed joke. And I wanted the photo ops. I went round to all of the cast members and told them this joke, and it was met with literal from most of them.
Brilliant.
You're gonna love this. Why do paladins wear chainmail?
I don't know.
Because it's holy armor.
Yeah, yeah.
So good.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's definitely grown worthy. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Wait, tell me. No, you've got to tell me one now.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Okay, I'll give you my two favorite on this one.
Right.
So Snow White has decided to take a survey of the dwarves, and it turns out 6 out of 7 aren't happy.
Oh. Okay, that's good. All right.
And you could also have, why do Norwegian ships have barcodes on the side?
I don't know.
So when they get back to port, they can Scandinavian. I'm sorry. And thank you so much for your time. If folks have enjoyed these insights into the brain of Devora Wilde, where can they find you on the internet?
Literally anywhere and everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, X, anywhere pretty much. You'll find me.
Marvelous. Well, everything will be in the description for people to follow if they're not following you already.
Yes.
And speaking of you out there, thank you for watching and or listening to this. I'm DC Bradshaw, and this has been Short Thoughts with Devora Wilde. Hope you have an amazing day. Take care.